Well, Professor Matt Qvortrup is an adjunct professor at Louis University in Rome and had an audience with Pope Francis last year. He joins us now from London. Professor, tell us more about that audience you had with the Pope. What can you tell us about the meeting?
Well, first of all, was a very imposing figure. He's a big guy. He was a big guy, sort of 6'2", sort of rugby player like, and he was actually a bouncer in a nightclub in Santiago in Chile when he was a young man. And what struck me when you're meeting sort of important people is they tend to talk to the good and the great. And the first people he talked to was not the English professor; it was the nuns from the Philippines, and who were obviously feeling very sort of a very humble person, and somebody who would speak in easily, of course, in Spanish, but also in very good Italian, and with a bit of a sort of a popular touch to the way he spoke Italian, which was very different from, of course, his predecessor.
Tell us a bit more about what that meeting revealed to you about the Pope's character and also his leadership.
I think his leadership was, in the best possible way, slightly chaotic. He was somebody who was a humble person who wasn't sort of a natural administrator, you didn't find. He was somebody who would go a little bit off script, but then be very human for that. But I guess his strength was also that he had very good advisors around him. So there is Pietro Parolin, who is one of the probably number two front runner to succeed him, who is the Secretary of State for the Vatican, effectively the Vatican's Prime Minister, was sort of doing all of those things. So he was able to be his very sort of, if you like, humane, approachable, cordial individual, because he had excellent advisors. And it has been said that the greatness of a leader is the quality of his advisors, the people he has around him. And he was clearly a very good at selecting people who could advise him.
And in terms of the work that he carried out, in your view, what legacy do you think Pope Francis will leave behind?
I think in some ways he will be the one who is a bridge to the future. He had to pick up quite a few things when he took over from Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict, according to Francis's autobiography, Pope, that just came out, gave him a whole box of all the terrible things on his first day, saying these are the things you have to deal with, which was all the legacy issues of abuse and so on that the church has dealt with. So I think what Pope Francis has done is that he has selected, I think, 80 out of the 120 people who are choosing his successor. He selected a number of I think 24 just before Christmas to make sure that he has the requisite majority. So I think he would be very much somebody who wrote the Bible, paves the way for his successor. So, but also, of course, he was also somebody who, in some ways, was very conservative. That goes with the job. You can't just be progressive. But when talking about homosexuality, there was a bishop who came out as homosexual. He says, "Who am I to judge?" So. Perhaps, unlike many other popes, he had a certain Christ-like character.
Tell us a bit more about some of the challenges that he faces and the difficulties that he had to overcome as the Pope.
I think what he has to overcome as Pope is that the Pope, of course, technically, according to Catholic doctrine, is infallible. But he's had a lot of people, especially conservatives in America, who've been very critical of him. So a lot of people who claim to be Catholics and people from Catholic parties have been very critical of his political stance. So that is one of the problems that he had. Politically, he was the likes of J.D. Vance, even Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, who had policies that he criticised, and many of the people in the pews will be conservatives. He did that notwithstanding. He also has, and this is the problem for the Catholic Church as an organisation, it is growing in places like the Philippines. Luis Antonio Tagle, who's probably the front runner at bookmakers, just lowered the odds from 4-1 to 3-1 on him. People in the Philippines, there's been a growing number of Catholics. The Catholic Church is actually growing in many parts of the world, except in Western Europe. and to a degree in Australia as well. And many of people in those parts of the world are very conservative when it comes to the traditional issues on abortion, gay marriage, and so on. And it's basically to be able to bridge the divide in this organization. So that's going to be a challenge for the 267th Pope who will succeed him.
Well, more than 1 million mourners, I understand, are expected to arrive in Rome to visit the Vatican to pay their respects. Over the next 9 days, they'll be able to attend Mass to celebrate his life. Tell us, what scenes will we be seeing?
We will be seeing, I was about to say the usual scenes, but there's much more of a crowd this time. When John Paul II died was also around Easter. And you will see people who come very, very far away. What I noticed when I am in Rome, and you can go to St. Peter's Square, is that people come as pilgrimages, and some people have come from very, very far away, and it's literally the highlight of their life to see an elderly man driving around in an open car. And it is those sort of things that in this day and age, and of course it's all going to be on social media and they're tweeting about it and what have you, but it's that level of devotion that for those who may not be religious, that might be quite strange. And for those people who are religious, it's probably an indication that these things are very important. So we will be seeing a lot of people who will be very devoted and proclaim these sort of things. And the fact that it is in the aftermath of the Easter Monday now, there will be many more people than usual in Rome who will see those sort of scenes.
Well, Professor Matt Qvortrup, we really appreciate you talking to us. Thank you.